Okay, hello everybody. We are very happy to see you today with us and happy to welcome also our today's masterclass trainer, Christine Gandelaki from Georgia. The topic will be for today the role of civic education in community development, and the aim will be to raise awareness on the role of civic education in community development. Christina is a member of Coordination Council of ENC since last year, and she has 7-year experience in the civic sector. She has a position of Civil Society Development Program Manager at the Center for Strategic Research and Development of Georgia, CSRDG, founding member of ENC actually. And she has been doing lots of trainings in social enterprises, community development. She has been doing educational thematic sessions to nonprofits and etc. etc. So today we will understand why community development is important, and based on the examples and cases that Georgian organization has had, we'll understand it deeper, and we'll also share our insights on community development from our respective countries. The floor is yours, Christina. Thank you for being today, all the participants. Let's go and start.
Thank you, Tatevik. Welcome to all participants. I'm very happy to be here and to have the opportunity to present our approach to community development in this kind of format. I won't speak about myself anymore. Tatevik has told you everything about me. So I will say a few things about our organization in Georgia. So we've been working in the civil society sector since 1995, and the community development program is one of the oldest programs of CSRDG, and we think that it is it makes a great contribution to civic education, citizenship education in Georgia, especially in rural areas of Georgia. So I will talk about our program approaches and results of our program today. So I will share now my presentation, and I hope that you will have lots of questions, and I will try to answer these questions, and we can have some short discussions too. And I have also prepared some short videos, and I hope that we will have time for these videos too. So today I will touch several topics. The first topic I would like to discuss with you is how do we define community. We should agree on the same definition, so we are on the same wave during this masterclass. After that, I will share information about how our community development program works and where is the place for civic education in our community development program, shortly CT program. I will also share main achievements and results of the last 4 years, and these numbers and that I will show, and the results I will present really show where civic education does stand in community development. And I also would like to introduce our community leaders. I have several videos prepared with subtitles, so I hope that when you listen to them, you will get more involved in this sphere, and their videos are more like emotional, and you will understand how do they feel after involvement in this program and after becoming civic activists in their villages and communities. So the first question after I give you our definition. How do we see community development? So I'm really interested, how do you understand community? So when we are talking about community, what kind of ideas come to your mind? So what is community? What do we call community? Do you have any ideas?
I have one. I think it is some kind of collective responsibility towards some ideas or opportunities, or just something that several people together realize.
Maybe, yes. So community incorporates like collectiveness, yeah. Someone wanted to continue.
One more comment. It's the situation when the people have common interests.
Yes, of course.
Друзья, можете тоже на русском комментировать. Извини, Кристи.
Yes, I understand Russian. Я тоже могу, разговаривать не очень, но я все хорошо, да.
Да, можете и
я
на
услышу
русском
вас,
тоже.
да, можете. Yes, when there is some kind of collectiveness and when people have common interests. Yes, of course. And one of the main characteristics is for us also is the geographical area. So we can talk about communities and talk about the geographical area where they live. So it's a unity of people living in one specific geographical area, and these people should have, not might have, but should have the same social, economic, and cultural conditions, and they have similar interests, problems, and needs. We at CSRDG mainly work with people living in concrete in specific geographical areas and with these characteristics that I mentioned. However, when we are talking about community, we can talk, for example, community of LGBT persons, or community of people with disabilities, or community of people with concrete religious groups and so on, or just people who have same interests. But we also specify during our work that the geographical area is here quite small. In Georgia, mainly communities are comprised by 2 or 4 villages. So our country consists of regions, municipalities, and these municipalities are divided in little communities. And we work in such kind of communities in rural areas and mainly in the remote villages. So a little overview of our historic moments. So we work on community development. We've been working since 1998. We've been working in these villages with people living there on raising their awareness about, for example, participation, about that they can be active citizens and they can solve their problems themselves. And for that, we, for example, used to give small grants, and these people have identified their local problems and solved these problems with these grants. However, since 1998, we saw this non-systematic approach, like, for example, giving one-time grants to people living in these communities is not really effective and is not very sustainable. So we decided to apply more systematic and long-term approach since 2013, and I will explain a little bit later what we mean by a systematic approach. And after 2013, so the many years have passed, and today we are thinking and planning and implementing also exit strategies from these communities. So we've been working there like for about 8 years, and now we see that it's time to come out, exit this our target communities, and to enter new communities and to begin working with new people. So the overall goal of our community development program is social and economic, is improvement of social and economic conditions of people living in target communities. And objectives are the following. Access of the citizens to available services. This can be educational, healthcare, social, and public, and other kinds of services. Access is improved, and interests of local citizens are better advocated. So we mainly work, this is the map of Georgia. It's in Georgian at this moment, but I wanted to mention that we work in West Georgia and East Georgia. We have two target municipalities where we have many, like most of the community groups there. However, we work in the third target municipality too. It's located near this West Georgian municipality. It's called Guria. And with some activities, we try to cover the whole Georgia, and I will explain it now. So as I mentioned, we work in 3 target regions with systematic approach in 12 municipalities of these regions, and we have only one office in East Georgia in Kakheti. In other locations, we work with the help of our local partner organizations. So we decided not to open offices in all the regions, but to support other civil society organizations, and with help of these organizations, we are working with our community groups. So what we do, what is the systematic approach? Yes, in 2013, when we decided to enlarge our program, we chose several communities which were extremely poor, where civic activism was not was underdeveloped, and we support there under our program to support formation of these community groups of mainly formation of women-led initiative groups, and we choose their community leaders. There are mainly 1 or 2 leaders, and they have like their own team. And after that, we empower them via different capacity building programs and financial support. When we are talking about the systematic approach, the capacity building is not really enough, because people should use their skills and knowledge they gain during the trainings and workshops and seminars. So this financial support gives them possibility to use their knowledge and skills in real life, in real practice, and also solve their own local problems. This formation of the groups is also a long process. Before we enter one municipality, we make their assessments of the municipality and the situation, and what kind of social and economic conditions are there, and so on. So I mentioned capacity building. We also support networking between community organizations, our community groups, and also other community-based organizations working in Georgia. we actively support cooperation between local government and CBOs, so community-based organizations. And I mentioned as one of the objectives that people we want that local people advocate their problems, and by advocating we mean that they advocate and defend their interests in front of the local government. I mentioned ongoing financial support, and as for the financial support, we have two kinds of support. One is so-called program support. We give very little money to our target communities for 1 year. At the beginning of the year, with help of our organization and our partner organizations, they elaborate so-called yearly action plans, where they plan what the events or some kind of training, seminars, discussions and so on, some kind of events that are interesting for local youth or women or just people living there, and we give them partial financing for this 1 year action plan. And this is very small money, about 1,200 Georgian lari. For 1 year, it's very small money. It's about 350 euros. And
can I ask a question, Kristi?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. So how do you identify those groups, the groups that you want to provide the financial support? Does the local governmental organization or the municipality or help you, or you do the research yourself?
No, we want these groups to be independent, so we research it on ourselves. We do it via support of local people, local organizations. For example, if we work in the region of Samegrelo, we search for we partner with a local NGO there, and local people are more accepted by people living in regions. And they mostly know, and we, as I mentioned, we make assessments in communities, for example, what kind of economical situation is, what kind of social situation is, and we mostly choose the poorest communities. However, if we can't find their team, a group of people, we don't begin working there, because if you don't have a team of at least 4 people, then it becomes a work of one man, and it's not a community-based group or community-based organization. So with local government, they begin working afterwards, and this ongoing financial support is full for every target community group, and this closed grant competitions is also for our target community groups, so we don't announce them openly. I will tell you about it more in detail. And throughout Georgia, we have adopted more general approach, and we call this direction Community Development Resource Center. And in frames of this resource center, we have the base of almost all community initiatives or community organizations or just initiative groups working in Georgia, and we try to disseminate information about these organizations, about opportunities, for example, educational or grant opportunities. We provide trainings also, and once a year we have one open grant competition where our target CBOs can't participate. This is only for our non-target CBOs, community-based organizations. because we want to support us and explore other new community initiatives and community-based organizations too. And of course, we support networking among these organizations, and I have the separate slide for this. So in total, in 2017 and 20, so during the 4 years, we worked with 40 community groups, community-based organizations. I'm saying sometimes groups, sometimes organizations, because these groups, some of them are already just initiative groups, and some of them are registered as organizations. We don't force them to register because it's additional bureaucracy for them. But if they want, if they wish to register, we support. But we can give grants without, and financial support without registration. But there are some donors who like force them to register. So some of them has decided to register and have become more strong as organizations. So we worked with 40 community groups, with 80 community leaders, and these groups have themselves worked with about 1,000 volunteers. When we are talking about capacity building of community groups, we provide different trainings, and this list is just a short list of the trainings. For example, project proposal development, project management, effective presentation skills, monitoring and evaluation, reporting, public relations, digital skills, social media management, workshops about, I mentioned already, yearly action plan, preparation of yearly action plans, and with some of the groups which are more developed as organizations, we also support them to prepare 3-year strategic plans. So I'm talking a lot about this organizations, but where is the civic education here? Yes, this here is the big question. So from one side, we provide trainings that are related to civic education topics too. For example, competencies of local government, advocacy, participation in decision making, gender issues, environment protection, UN Sustainable Development Goals, volunteering and volunteer management, and so on. We, as I mentioned, we mainly work with women-led community groups, and for example, gender issues women's rights are very interesting topics for them. When we entered these communities, almost all women were like sitting at home, doing only homework, so they didn't work outside of home, or they might just be involved in agricultural activities. And after 2 or 3 years, when we've talked with them, when we're talking with them, they say that this is the big result, big achievement of this program, that I came out from the house, that I can feel that I can contribute to something more, that I can make changes in our communities. And after the trainings, for example, in about gender issues and women's rights, they become like defenders of their communities. Environment protection is also very interesting topic for them, because we have, for example, big challenges in the sphere of waste management and recycling, and there are many problems in the municipalities in terms of waste management. So it's also a big a topic of a big interest. So during in these trainings, during these 4 years, we conducted about 71 trainings and seminars. About 1,900 participants attended these trainings, and most of them were women. So we don't say that men can't participate in these trainings and can't be a part of these community groups, but like women seem to be more social minded. And we've also conducted about 72 workshops, and here also women were the most of the participants were women. I've talked about experience share about networking, and the part of the networking is experience sharing tours. Experience sharing between different community-based organizations. We mainly take organizations from East Georgia to West and vice versa, and we also conduct annual community leaders forum where we gather community leaders not only from our target initiative groups but from all Georgia, and we conduct their discussions, workshops, experience sharing events, and we also call their representatives of governmental sector, business sectors, and these mainly women living in their villages in rural areas have possibilities to meet how to say, more high level people.
Can I ask a question, Kristi?
Yes.
You do it with your own funding, right? Is government helping you or the local community authorities?
I will come to the projects that these organizations are implementing, and these projects are mainly supported by us and like co-supported by local governments, and I will tell you how. So these are the numbers. For example, we spent total budget during these 4 years on action plan on implementation of the action plans. For example, 29 community centers where infrastructure of 29 community centers was improved, and it is very important to be successful in this work. It is very important that these teams have some kind of place for gathering. If they don't have place for gathering, then it's very tough for them to work there. And it's a great problem in Georgia of having such kind of like community places, community centers in villages. And during these 4 years, via support of this action plan program, these our target communities implemented about 2,400 events, and you see the number of participants here. In the question you asked, Tatevik, and I also have a question for you. One of the biggest things we teach them is how to advocate their problems and how to become responsible citizens. But first of all, in order to advocate local problems, you have to know what kind of problems do people have. So that is why we teach them how to make little researches. It might be not a real academic research, but they elaborate questionnaires and they go from door to door and ask people about their problems, challenges, about what they wish to improve in their villages, and then after that they make some priorities and go to the local governments. We have mainly from September to December this budgeting process in our local governments, and they go there, present these problems, and sometimes government says that yes, we will incorporate this money for solving these problems for next year's budget. Sometimes they say that no, we don't have money. So within these 4 years, about 234 community problems were solved, and these problems were solved without any money, any grant money. This was like pure advocacy. But there are but sometimes when we have these grant competitions, we ask them that, yes, I will give you, for example, grant funding if you write a good project. However, you should provide a letter of cooperation from the governmental side. And this mainly involves some kind of financial support too from the government, local government organizations. And it's a pity that according to Georgian legislation, local governments can't issue grants. And in many countries in Europe, they can do this, but they somehow we somehow, and they also find some mechanisms for supporting community-based organizations. And in this regard, I had also a question to you, if you in your countries have experience of supporting community organizations being supported by local governments. Do you have such kind of experience?
I don't think we have
really...
in Armenia, but I think we do have a special program when local governments can help the inhabitants of the villages or the city per the demand, or for example for the disability part. But I think it is just a usual program that all governments have, post-Soviet country government. But such examples of like providing grants to communities like in Europe, in other countries, we don't have that yet. But I have heard also cooperation between NGOs and governmental organizations. They can, for example, provide for free the building for someone to do initiative for kindergarten development, for example, if nonprofit wants to do training for the teachers, or they can just provide some transportation, or like this is again little type of communication and also collaboration, but at the same time it is also beneficial for both sides. So, yeah, nothing bigger that I have heard, to be honest with you.
Thank you. Yes, the support from our local governments is also not very big, but it makes like commitment from their side, their involvement, and
difference.
They use this, their involvement also for their own like PR activities also, and like both sides get some kind of benefit here.
Yeah, and it is especially very important for the rural areas where there is indeed not so much opportunity to come in and to do something. So we should foster, and we do that in regional level, especially in Armenia, to make sure that we have engagement from the rural regions, because there are difficult conditions over there. People are not able to get what they want to get from most of the time, let's say.
And here about financing also, during these 4 years, we have announced 15 grant competitions and financed 93 projects. And you can see on the chart that about we've issued grants for about 500,000 Georgian lari. This is the money that we contributed, our organization. However, the contribution from local government is in yellow, was more than totally more than 100,000. And the contribution from community was about 80,000. 100,000. And by community contribution, we mean financial and in-kind contribution. So both, and these our community initiative groups really gather money, do little crowdfunding in their own communities, and this is very important also because after that they have some kind of ownership on the projects they do. For example, they are making some infrastructural project, building a stadium, for example. Yes, if there is their own contribution, money or in-kind contribution, after that they will care about the stadium or care about the park they made with our grant. Yes, if the money is on the grant money, then this commitment and ownership is not very big. And other financing is here. Other financing might be other grant financing or donations from business sector, mainly little, like small and medium scale local businesses. So these are just the spheres that we have financed: infrastructure, education, environment, agriculture and tourism, social services, charity. You see here is the most of the projects are in the sphere of education, and mainly here are topics about youth empowerment, volunteerism, youth engagement in decision-making processes, in gender equality, democracy and democracy principles, and so on. And just to sum up, and after that I will show you several videos. Again, why do we think that these activities are interconnected to civic education, to citizenship education? Because people living in regions have internalized democracy principles. So they have been trained on various issues in these directions. They have had also very active trainings, for example, about EU and EU association agreement with Georgia and so on. And they really grew, and their personal and professional growth is really visible. And the change of their attitudes is very visible. Like from the citizen who was sitting at home and waiting that someone will come and help, and they grew to the citizen that can advocate and defend their own rights and interests. After participating in this program, people feel responsible for their own and communities' lives problems, and they know how to solve these problems. People began advocating their problems to local government or other governmental and non-governmental bodies also. People began respecting diversity. This is also very important because I can say that still in Georgia, many people, for example, are extremely homophobic, and in these groups, I can say that they see this like not like this. Their attitudes have really changed during these years, and yeah, this is very important. The role of women has increased, and the men also in the communities saw that these women are making really good job and making really good changes and contribution for making the lives of the communities better. And after that, they really began to help these women. For example, via their in-kind contribution, with their they're helping in infrastructural work or some logistical work mainly. awareness on various issues related to citizenship education has raised. Volunteerism became respectful and popular also. Even today, volunteerism is on very low level in Georgia, I can say, but in these communities, they work very well with volunteers. They themselves work as volunteers. They don't have any money or any salary. And when we were beginning working with them, many people in their neighbors or their friends are telling them, so why are you doing that? So how much are they paying for you, or what is your interest in this job? And they were saying that there is no like financial interest, and the interest is that we change our lives to better conditions. Yeah, and after people saw what kind of things they could do, what kind of problems they could solve via these activities. After that, these community groups gained more trust and big trust from their citizens and like from people living there. And the awareness of citizens, especially youth, on their fundamental rights has increased, and community members, I already mentioned that they are able to gain knowledge and skills in practice. And now in 2021, so I mentioned that we began this in 2013, and now in 2021, we think that most of the groups are really sustainable, and we want to begin exiting these groups. And this year, for example, we are not giving any this action plan support money to all the community groups, and we are just we chose 3 more developed organizations that are more that are registered and more have more sustainability, organizational sustainability, and these are also community-based organizations which will become so-called hubs for this community organization, and they will support the others, less experienced organizations, informationally, technically, via knowledge, and so on. And so let's see what kind of results it will bring. I want to show one video. I have a video for you prepared, but if you have more questions.
Christina, I have some question. Let me speak in Russian. Мы тут же все свои остались, поэтому я могу проще. У меня вот такой вопрос. Вот по моему опыту работы с комьюнити, есть такая хорошая фраза, что ничего для нас без нас, да, вот как бы. И очень часто общественные организации, получая гранты, приходят в комьюнити уже со своими интересами. То есть, потому что эти интересы диктуются часто грантодателями, ну, то есть вот на это. И получается, что фактически реализуется проект, но это не интересы комьюнити, или не первоочередные, я бы так сказал, интересы комьюнити. То есть встречалось ли в твоей практике какие-то проекты и подходы, когда, в общем-то, само сообщество определяло свои первоочередные какие-то потребности, и уже с этим работала, в общем-то, общественная организация?
So in case of our program, it's almost all the time it happens like that. For example, when we began this program, we just entered these communities, made some capacity building activities, and we just wanted enabled them, like empowered them to gain skills and knowledge of how to identify and advocate their problems. But we don't dictate what kind of problems to dictate, solve, or what kind of projects to write. As I mentioned, these community groups really go from door to door and ask questions about the problems, local problems and challenges, and the wishes of local communities and of local people of different age. And after that, which problem will be mostly mentioned. So they make this prioritization, and after that, about this problem, they write a project, or they, if it's a competence of local government, they go to the city hall and begin like advocacy process. It's so what they will do, what they will advocate, or what kind of projects they will write, it doesn't come from our side. So they do it themselves, and they know, these community-based organizations also know that it won't work if this problem is not touching almost the whole community. They know this, and some of them have experience. Might have also little bad experiences too, so they know that they can't, they won't become like trustful and respectful if they go with an idea of only one person. So this time they don't do it. It happened that, for example, we had one project within this program that was this environmental project about waste management, recycling, and so on. And we asked our communities which of them were interested in this program, in this project, because not for all of them is environment protection a big issue, or not all of them feel that it's very important, or they just might feel but they don't want to work on these issues. Yeah, we asked them, and the community groups that presented their interest, and we decided to implement this project there. So we try to do like
Да,
that.
спасибо. Можно еще один вопрос?
Да.
Ну, возможно, в Грузии это не так, потому что я, ну, несколько раз был в Грузии и замечал, что там еще как-то в селах люди живут вместе, общаются, ну, как-то. Что касается Украины, то все больше как бы есть мнение, что люди уже не живут в комьюнити. То есть все выше заборы между соседями, то есть все меньше праздников. И говорить о том, что это какая-то комьюнити, в общем-то, не приходится. Это просто вот сообщество индивидов, просто живущих в одном месте. У каждого свои потребности и так далее. И возникают такие проекты, которые как бы пытаются с этого сообщества индивидов сделать комьюнити. То есть нарастить этот социальный капитал, создать общие интересы, провести общие праздники. То есть вот для Грузии характерна такая вещь или нет?
I haven't thought about this like in these directions, but in this direction that like people don't live now in like communities, but there are many initiatives from our community groups like this, cultural initiatives. They organize festivals, and they really try to get the people together. And it's very sad that in our villages there is like no place for having fun, for having I don't know, to go and relax, to go out with friends together. Just there are no places in many communities and villages where young people or just people can go and gather and talk and I don't know, drink coffee. And these community centers create such kind of centers, and I think they really support this. Reuniting these people and these communities. And I agree with you that in Georgia too nowadays, like people live from for themselves. Yes, and these community groups really support like bringing together these people.
Последний, третий вопрос я задам, и все. Я встречал вот в нескольких публикациях, что Мировой банк, который очень долго делал свои проекты, используя такую методологию или философию community-based development, так, сменил на такую методологию, как community-driven development. Community-driven. То есть уже недостаточно, скажем так, основываться на потребностях сообщества, а нужно, чтобы само сообщество все это делало. То есть не нужно помогать сообществу внешними силами, внешними организациями. То есть важно, чтобы они сами все это сделали. Иначе они там приучаются к внешней помощи, слабеют и так далее. Вот насколько вот ты встречалась с вот этим понятием, как community-driven development, и вот об этом?
I would honestly say that I haven't heard about this before. However, this community program manager knows, I think, about it. But I see that I don't know if it will work if there is no ground created or like no basis created. But we'll see, for example, what this community will do after we exit all the communities and after we leave them for themselves. And our aim is that they will become, so their activities will become sustainable and they will continue their work, like at least advocating the problems when they see that there is a problem. If by this approach it is meant that you never should work with communities, I don't know how it will work.
Thank
When
you.
you have very like low system, very underdeveloped educational system, for example, at schools or after school, it's extremely hard without doing such kind of work, without like interfering in the communities, I think. And in our case, our system is really bad.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I have one more question, if you do not mind,
yes,
Christy. It goes interesting and interesting. So you mentioned that you have seen, for example, increase of volunteering, increase of women engagement, right? How do you measure that? Do you do surveys? How do you just evaluate at the end of your project these type of things? Like you said that from 2013 till now, you have seen lots of progress. So how do you measure this progress?
Yes, sometimes we, not sometimes, but we do this monitor. We have our like indicators. It's qualitative and quantitative indicators. We like monitor all the numbers, participants, and so on. But we also like gain information from these community groups, and we try to I mentioned these qualitative things. Yes, for example, like the role of women has increased, or they feel more responsible. Yeah, it's more based on interviews with the community leaders that we are doing it. It might be we do it like once a year or twice a year, and after every cycle of this program, and it's mainly 3 years, we do so-called, how is it called? So evaluation, but no, not internal evaluation, but outside the evaluation. We invite an expert who evaluates our achievements, and these are mainly findings from these external evaluations.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I will share now the video. So one of the videos is here you will meet several community leaders. And in this video, we have storyteller, like it's child's voice, and he or she begins like telling a story, and during this story several community leaders from different regions and municipalities are introduced, and it has in English subtitles, so I hope it will be interesting for you. So 1 moment. After this, I can share also links for other videos, and I can share also the presentation. I have several project examples there, but I want to continue with this, but you can have this presentation and see also the examples of the project.
Yeah.
So here is the video.
მიყვარს აქ ამოსვლა და იქ ქვევით ჩემი სოფელია. მიყვარს აქ ამოსვლა და ამ სილამაზის ცქერა. მიყვარს ჩემი სოფელი, უფროსები კი სულ აქედან წასვლაზე ფიქრობენ. ამბობენ ახალგაზრდებისთვის აქ მომავალი არ არისო.
თუ სოფელი და რეგიონი არ იყო განვითარებული, ქვეყანაც არ იქნება განვითარებული. ჩვენი თემის ჩართულობა და აქტიური ახალგაზრდების ჩართულობა ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანია. ჩვენი სოფლის პრობლემების მოსაგვარებლად, ჩვენ სოფელში არსებული სიტუაციის შესასრულებლად არავინ არ ჩამოვა არსაიდან, ჩვენ უნდა გავაკეთოთ.
დედას უფრო უნდა აქ დარჩენა, სულ მეუბნება, ნუ გეშინია, ერთად რამეს მოვიფიქრებთო. იქნებ აქაურობა გახდეს უფრო სიცოცხლით სავსე. იქნებ მერე მამიკოსაც აღარ მოუნდეს წასვლა. სულ ამაზე მეფიქრება.
ჩვენ ვინც ცოტა ცენტრიდან მოშორებით ვცხოვრობთ, იმაზე არ ვფიქრობთ, რა შეგვიძლია. არადა ძალიან ბევრი რამე შეგვიძლიათ.
ეს არის სტერეოტიპების დასამსხვრევი ჩაქუჩი. ეს წითელი კარის არის სიმბოლური რაღაცა პროტესტის და მუდმივი ბრძოლის.
ძალიან გვინდა რომ განვითარდეს და ეს იყოს სივრცე, რომელიც დაეხმარება მოსახლეობას, რომ უფრო მეტად განავითაროს მათი სოფელი და მათი ცხოვრება შეცვალონ უკეთესობისკენ.
ჩემს სკოლაში ერთი გოგოა, თეონა, მეზობელი სოფლიდან. ხოდა თურმე იქ ხალხს დაანგრეული კლუბი აღუდგენია და საღამოობით კაფეც მუშაობს. მუსიკაც არის, დღისით კი ცეკვის და სპორტული წრეებია.
11 პროექტი იყო კერძოდ ჯუმათის თემში და ეს პროექტები იყო ძირითადად ინფრასტრუქტურული.
იმდენი ცვლილება გამოვიდა, იმდენი ცვლილება დაიდო სოფელში, რომ ამ ცვლილებამ ჩვენზეც იმოქმედა და როგორც ადამიანები მისაბაძი გავხდით სხვებისთვის.
ეს სოფელი ყველასთვის უნდა იყოს, ყველას თანაბარი შესაძლებლობები უნდა გქონდეს.
სტუდენტობის დროიდან ფიქრობდი ამ ბავშვების შესაძლებლობებზე, იმაზე, რომ ბავშვებისთვის ყოფილიყო ისეთი ხელმისაწვდომი, ისაც ჩვენთვის არის ხელმისაწვდომი.
ჩვენი პროექტის საშუალებით კიდევ ჩვენ შევძელით, რომ ეს ორი ოთახი გავარემონტეთ და აღიჭურვა სპორტული ინვენტარით. მას შემდეგ ეს იქცა ახალგაზრდების თავშეყრის ცენტრად.
ერთგვარ პასუხისმგებლობას გრძნობ იმ ახალგაზრდების მიმართაც, ვინც სკოლას ტოვებენ. სარგებელი არა მხოლოდ საკუთარ თავს, არამედ თემსაც მოუტანონ.
მინდა ჩემს სოფელში იყოს კინო, თეატრიც, საცურაო აუზი. მინდა ყველაფერი, რაც ქალაქშია. ოღონდ აქ, ჩემს სოფელში, აქ ყოფნა მინდა.
დღეს ჩვენი სოფლის დიდი პრობლემა ახალგაზრდებიან ქალაქში თუ საზღვარგარეთ. იმისათვის რომ სოფელი არ დაიცალოს, ყველა ის სიკეთე რაც ქალაქშია, სოფლის ახალგაზრდებისათვისაც ადვილად ხელმისაწვდომი უნდა იყოს.
ერთად ავაშენოთ უკეთესი სოფელი. ეს ქვეყანა ჩვენია.
Positive. Very positive one.
Yeah. I hope you was able to read these subtitles.
I managed. I can't say for everybody else, but the good thing is that you will share it with us and all other video links. So as of like latest tomorrow, we'll have already an article about this masterclass on our website, and all the useful links and information will be loaded there. So feel free to see the recording as well, because we have recorded the session. Participants didn't mind, and the trainer as well. Thank you so much, everyone. It was really lovely to see you all. To everyone who joined and dropped, who joined at the end. But the good news is that you have the recording of this. Great. Anybody has any questions? No. Thank you, Christina, very much for your initiative and participation. Yeah, stay safe, everybody. See you soon.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
And thank you very much. I really love talking about this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.